Okay, folks, it's looking more and more like we are not alone, as in the universe. Next month, U.S. intelligence agencies are set to deliver a report to Congress on unidentified aerial phenomenon, and apparently there are a lot of them caught on tape that defy explanation. Panel, we're talking about UFOs maneuvering in ways that are simply not technologically feasible yet for us humans. So who wants some of this topic? I'm going to start with Marcus Davis.
Listen, I think as intelligent Americans, I think as intelligent human beings, we should be open to discovering and exploring what's out there. And I think it's time for us to move away from this whole, what do we call it, the UFO bashing, right? I think it's time for us to move away from people believing that there are other things that exist, people believing that we should explore the existence of other things. And, you know, this idea of you look at me like I'm crazy because I say I saw an unidentified flying object and let's dig into that. We've got to get away from that. I think it's arrogant and I think it's ignorant. We've got to move forward in research.
Okay, Charles, you welcome this hearing?
Very much so. I mean, just like Marcus said, I think it's ignorant for us to think that we're the only ones out there and that nothing else could possibly exist. And if you go back and very recently, former President Obama did an interview where he alluded to this and said some of the things that he had come across while he was president would be interesting for the American public to know. Former Majority Leader Harry Reid just wrote an op-ed. He was the one who wrote the legislation funding the research program. He said there's stuff that the public should know that wouldn't jeopardize our safety. And so I think it's worthy of having a serious conversation about.
All right, Chris Tritico, do we need to know more about this?
Well, absolutely. It's silly for us to assume that in all the planets out there, the billions and billions of planets out there, that we're the only people, we're the only life form that there is. And so to assume that these UFOs that we've captured are not something that's looking at us, I think we need to explore it, we need to look at it, and we need to figure out if there is something else that's exploring our planet and see if we can't make something out of it.
All right, Sue, how about some input?
I think it's interesting. I think it's very arrogant of us to think that there aren't other forms of whatever life out there on other planets. You know, I grew up with a grandmother who didn't believe we went to the moon. You know, she said, "Don't be a fool. It's a fake." She had seen the kitty hawk fly. She couldn't fathom this. I think we move beyond that thinking, and I think it's interesting, and I think we should pursue it.
Gary Pollan, you are intellectually curious. Do you think we should be examining this and I guess transparently sharing everything we've got?
Well, I think the answer to both those questions is yes. And here's the other thing that we didn't talk about. Given that we all believe there's life on other planets, I don't know how close they are to us, but the galaxy's vast, so there surely is life. Is that life a danger to human life on Earth? We don't know that. And that's why it needs to be transparent, and we need to share that information with every other country that's here. But there could be a threat at some point to the survival of humanity. Who knows?
Charles, I got to ask you this. Are you excited about what we may find?
Oh, very much so. I mean, growing up, I've always watched those shows about what happened in Roswell and with the big disaster and then finding all these parts and, you know, not really giving an answer as to what it is. So I'm very excited about what they might find. I mean, we should all be. We live in this universe and this galaxy, and we should want to know what's out there and be curious about it.